Alone in a room, alone in a town. An old man is waiting to die. No one will come to visit his grave. No one will cry. No one will cry.
Hello friends, welcome back. Psychic Eric here. Shooting this on Sunday afternoon. I don't know if I'm going to upload this today yet or Monday, the next day, but hope you guys are doing well. I've been buying a lot of cheapies online. This is kind of part of my, what I call the quote-unquote cheapie saga. It's the working title. Cheap heat, definitely got some heat here. Stuff that kind of getting hip to anyways. Stuff that I'm kind of rediscovering, and found some stuff yesterday in the shops. 4 items, I believe, and then, been trading stuff as well at the record shops, and came out with a free 45 as well. And then just today, had some more to trade because I found out there's something on display behind the register that I was kind of still surprised that it was still there after 2 months or so. So I finally decided to pop on it today and only paid 25 out of pocket. So I will be showing that at the very end. And then I found some stuff last Wednesday at Goodwill, which was part of the stuff I traded in as well. So it was a copy of Zephyr. If you guys know that record on ABC Probe, it's got Tommy Bolin in the group. I used to have a copy of that as well, but it's definitely a blues oriented, kind of Big Brother of the Holding Company sort of style. And then I found a group called Ingram. I forget what the album's called, but I'll put a picture of it in here. That's what I found. It was like pretty nice shape. It's kind of a funk oriented late 70s record, hints of disco in there, but it was really flavorful stuff. It was actually really good sounds off there. And then I found a couple of keepers as well. Well, one of them turned out not to be so clean. Once I brought it home and found out it was definitely had some fingerprints on it. It's a copy of a postcard by Mary Hopkin. It was still partially in the shrink wrap, very clean sleeve, but the record wasn't very good itself, so I'm just gonna torch it or something. But came out with a score within, so I will be sharing that as well. But enough babbling, let's get this on. So found these yesterday at the record shop, and wasn't anything in the new arrival section, so I just decided, let's see if there's anything that kind of sticks out to me within the two $4 bins. So came out with this one first. This is one I've been wanting for a long time, but I always see this for 10, 15 bucks, which I didn't want to pay. And this was in the $2 bin. This is Sean Phillips with his album Second Contribution. Finally gave this a full listen last night, and today I kind of forgot what it sounds like, so I do apologize, but definitely singer-songwriter oriented. Got a lot of ambition going on. There's definitely some nice percussive sounds, kind of softer and upbeat moments. A little bit on the Baroque side, a little bit. Got a great voice. And I also listened to part of his first album as well, which was just called, I think, First Contribution or just Contribution, both on A&M. He had records prior to this in the mid 60s, and this is on the this sort of A&M label, sort of a mid 70s design, and it's a very clean copy. $2 sold me right there. So got to give this a few more listens to kind of have it grasp upon me, but people have been telling me online to pick this up for the longest time, and I see it out in the wild, but, well, I should say, antique shops and record shops, stuff like that. But they always, like I said, want $10 or so, and just didn't feel, just didn't want to go into it blind like that, Just wanted to have the $2 experience. So pretty cool. I always get this guy, Sean Phillips, mixed with Sean Harris from West Coast Pop Art for some reason. Well, because they're both named Sean, but this one I'm kind of stoked to own this one finally. So been kind of after listening to it a month ago now, and just wasn't having any good luck finding clean copies, and they were always like represses on the later Capital label. But this is a original. It's actually in pretty decent shape. This is Blood Rock 3, obviously their third endeavor, and this is a band from Texas. It's on the green Capital label, which I've been wanting. It's about a strong VG, plays pretty well. I really wanted one with a kind of a crisp looking cover, and it's just got a few marks on it, kind of a wavy back sleeve a little bit, but not bad. They're kind of hard to find in clean shape. This is produced by Terry Knight, who also did like Grand Funk Railroad records around this time. Definitely has that kind of same production, and this might be my favorite by the group. I do like their first album, which was like the first one I got exposed to, and then I listened to their second album years later. I parted with it since then, but you can always find Blood Rock records pretty cheap, $4. But again, I was always seeing this for like 10, 15, and just didn't want to pay that. So very, very solid pickup here, and I really like this. This is actually really good, kind of semi-commercial oriented hard rock, but it's definitely got some strong progressive, post 60s psychedelic sounds going for it. So it's pretty cool highlights on here, both on the kind of soft, dramatic side, but also upbeat, heavy rockers on here. I'd say the definite highlight is the middle track here, Breach of Lease, 9-minute jam. Well, it's kind of like a, not jam necessarily, but it's got a kind of a slower pace to it, but it keeps building up, and it's got great sounds with them. They also do a cover of A Certain Kind by Soft Machine. Do a pretty decent job with that one. So yeah, check Blood Rock 3 out. It's actually kind of a sleeper, really. I mean, amongst rock fans, at least to my knowledge. I think Cosmic Brian showed this maybe not too long ago. $4 tag. And then after I left there, I was just kind of searching in the S's for some reason, just because I was in that area. Came out with this one. I knew the cover kind of stood out to me, and I know people have been sharing this online throughout this year actually. And I was reminded, okay, someone was talking up this one pretty well, and I just had to give this one a shot. This is Siegling and Larrabee, self-titled here on a small label. It's Look Records is the label. I've never seen that label before, but it's a promotional copy. It's got the timestamp on the back, and you can find this for $10 and under, man. This is great. Looking at the whole presentation, kind of looks like a Brewer and Shipley kind of thing. Definitely has some remnants of that. It's got some strings mixed within. It's got some flute, subtly in there, and all mid-tempo folk rock, folk pop kind of jams, and a few haunting moments as well. There's some haunting chords going on. I'll probably put one of the songs for the introduction here, but yeah, Philadelphia Girl, I believe that was a single off of here. It's a pretty strong opening track. A Lady. Gone is the Child, I believe, was the haunting track on here. It's kind of got some kind of dissonant chords going on. But yeah, you can find this for $10, man, and I recommend it. If you guys like that debut by Brewer and Shipley, it's kind of in that same realm. So, folk duo, don't know much about them. I haven't looked too deep into this one yet, but kind of settling into this one as well as we speak. Then I was still in the S's, and then this popped out. I may have spotted this in the past, but I don't know, because something about the cover art looked familiar. But I just took a shot in the dark with this one, and so glad I did. This is again one I found for like $8. It's a private press here called Search from Out of Nowhere. It's a band called Search, and I put about 4 clips on YouTube on my other channel. If you guys want to check those out, and I put the video links on the Discogs page. That's an easy way to find it. So this came out in '78. It's a band from Goodland, Kansas. So it's like the far west Kansas, very small rural town. But I think they might have recorded this in Hays, Kansas, which was not too far away. I think that's where the recording production team's from. And this has actually really surprised me, the first two tracks. Probably the most psychedelic, quote unquote, psychedelic cuts on here, but definitely has like a lounge rock vibe to it. You can definitely tell these guys probably played in some like lounge clubs or something like that. Especially on the second side, there's a lot of like shimmering, silvery, super analog synthesizers moving about. You definitely tell it's a late 70s record. It's got that kind of disco production to it. But yeah, very rock oriented, but not like super heavy hard rock. It's kind of more on the dreamy, kind of lush side of things. Lots of swirling Hammond organ keyboards going about, which kind of, merit sort of a progressive move, I guess you could say. But there's like one weak track on here. I was really surprised. This is actually pretty solid. Doesn't get a mention in the Acid Archives, but this is definitely one of those things where I could see there being an entry for this one. This is pretty surprisingly good. A great pickup for under $10, and I love that artwork as well. Just like unlocking the door of your mind, Pretty cool cover art. And so yeah, check it out online. I uploaded some clips. It's a nice piece. I love discovering stuff like this, So check her out. The first track, especially the self-titled track, Search. And this is one of the 4 that I found at Goodwill. Man, this is definitely a keeper. You never see this guy's records in clean shape, and just the whole condition itself was just surprising to me when I saw this. And this was like trampled over so many different records on top of it, This has got and this is The Hurdy-Gurdy Man by Donovan. It's got a super snug shrink wrap on it yet. It's just kind of fraying a little bit on the bottom, but not too bad, really. It's got the price tag on it yet from Target, $3.99. And whoever previously owned this, man, they basically just opened it and never played the sucker. This is crispy clean. No spindle marks. It's just beautiful. Played really, really crispy sounding on the turntable. So not like crispy as in bad. You know what I'm saying. What can I say, man? Donovan, I was actually listening to this like 2 months ago, just on a whim, revisiting it. And yeah, Hurdy-Gurdy Man, the title track. Supposedly, there's some like controversy with if Jimmy Page and John Bonham played on the track, or just members of Zeppelin supposedly played on this, but there's like some debate on that. But apparently he wrote the track for Jimi Hendrix. He wanted Jimmy to write or perform the track, and I guess at the time he was unavailable or something happened where he didn't get to it. But Jennifer Juniper, classic. Some great tracks on here. Hi, It's Been a Long Time. Nice kind of Baroque side of things. Tangier. It's kind of got this kind of electro Greek, almost Byzantine Empire sounding raga sorts of sounds. Donovan was so much a free-spirited bohemian kind of guy, and I said online too, it's kind of nice to see artists like this still circling around the sun, man. I mean, we're losing people like just recently Nick Turner of Hawkwind and all these, triumphant players of the past, and just kind of nice to know Donovan's still kicking it, man. He's still with us. So yeah, this is the only second Donovan record I own, but I am looking for others. It's just, it's not super high on the want list or anything, but in this condition for $1 from Goodwill, I'll take that all day, man. Great pickup. And then this is one of the online finds, part of the online splurge coming in the mail. So one of these finally arrived, and this is Tintin with their debut album here. These guys perform, this is like basically a pop duo. Before this, they had an album called Steve and Stevie, which has like a cover art that looks like United States of America. a little bit, and I probably prefer that over this, but this is them kind of going like a more commercial route. It's on Atco, and this was produced by Maurice Gibb of the Bee Gees, and these guys were originally from Australia. White label promo. I think there's like one British cat on here, but they do have like a backing band, but it was primarily focused on this duo here. And they had a second record as well, which I guess is reportedly not as strong, and I think I've heard a little bit of it. It has like one strong opening track, but that's like sort of on the psych side, but I have no interest picking it up really, but this is pretty solid, man. If you guys love, obviously it's inspired by late 60s Bee Gees sort of style, you know, Baroque oriented and, you know, kind of orchestrated pop music, lots of vocal harmonies, but it's also got this kind of British inspired like Brit pop, sort of in the vein of like Hollies, what they were doing around this time, or pre 1970. Because this came out in 1970, and this sounds like, you know, 3 years too late. Like it could have been recorded in 67. The Hollies vibes definitely on that first track. She Said Ride. It's got kind of a mod freak beat sort of vibe to it. Nice guitar licks going on. Swans on the Canal. Tuesday's Dreamer. And then even before I bought this, I didn't even realize they had a, I guess supposedly major hit with Toast and Marmalade for Tea, which I had never heard of previously, at least to my knowledge I hadn't, but apparently it was a pretty worldwide single that hit the airwaves pretty well, and that's why, you know, this record is, you know, you find it everywhere basically, but I've just never came across a copy in person, so really glad to check this one off. And this is pretty solid. I love the closing track too, Lady in Blue. Kind of reminds me of a light Sagittarius sound, you know, that Kurt Becher project. It's got some nice keyboards going on. Again, vocal harmonies are very apparent in this one. So check her out. You can find this one. I found this for like $3 plus shipping on Discogs. So cheap heat, man. That's what I'm all about recently. So up until I bought this. So we're going to dive into this one. This is what I picked up today. So kind of had to purge a little bit from the collection today. Stuff that I definitely wanted to keep, but it's stuff that you can find for probably $10-15 yet, but you know, you hate to part with stuff that you still appreciate, but I just kind of think of it in terms of like, if I don't play it enough, it's gonna part ways, and if I find one single record that I find better than this whole bunch, I'm just gonna purge it away and pick up the real winners, you know. So I picked this bad boy up. This is I believe it's a first press UK harvest, definitely an early pressing. Cover's in pretty decent shape, but the record is much more pristine. Great copy here. And this record takes me back, man. I first got exposure to this record way early, like even before I discovered Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Syd Barrett, man, he was such a figure. I found the CD of this at like a discount store back in my hometown. I was like, what is this doing here? I've heard of Syd Barrett, but it's like, who ordered this in the middle of Nebraska, you know? It's like, so, it was such a strange thing to me. I'm like the only kind of guy around the area that would be in this sort of thing, you know? But at the time, I was really struggling with this record. I was always listening to it like almost weekly as a kid. I was probably like 12 or 13 when I first got into this, and it took me a while to latch on. I was like, why does it sound so detached from reality, you know? And I didn't even know the whole backstory with Syd Barrett at the time. So now, of course, you know, decades later, it makes a lot more sense now. So yeah, this is a great piece to own. It wasn't like super high on the want list, but I do love anything like this, man. I mean, Pink Floyd, definitely a favorite group of mine. Lots of appreciation for them. They kind of helped me, you know, explore different avenues of music that kind of changed my life, you know. So And this album certainly did too. You know, you listen to this nowadays and it almost sounds like you can just tell right away that several 90s independent or indie artists, you know, definitely got inspired by this sort of stuff. It's very loose, it's very challenging to listen to sometimes. You can tell he's having a lot of difficulty kind of pushing these tracks out. You know, there's different, especially in the later half of the record where you hear all these, you know, studio commotion going on where he's messing up, and it's almost like you're just peering in, listening into what was really going in Sid's mind at the time. And there's so much you could say about this, you know. Definitely has that kind of childlike quality about it yet in his writing, and I can only imagine what these would sound like with proper Pink Floyd sound, you know. It still has that very English approach to it, you know, lyrically and stylistically. It's just kind of like the band's almost trying to keep up with his sort of ramblings, you know. And supposedly, I think members of Soft Machine are on this. Robert Wyatt and Mike Ratledge are both contributing to this, as well as David Gilmour, maybe Roger Waters, a few different members on here. So it's kind of helping him out. And definitely my favorite of Barrett, I think. I never got too heavily into his second record with Baby Lemonade in those tracks, but yeah, I think this was taken in his apartment flat at the time. This is like his girlfriend at the time. I don't remember her name, but yeah, this is just like diving into a Acid Casualty's mind, man. Very similar in the vein of like, you know, Alexander Spence and the likes of that. So very happy to cross this bad boy off. This is definitely a nice piece here. So only paid $25 out of pocket for that, so feels good. Some people, he told me a few people were looking at that in the shop, so definitely lucked out there. And then while I'm on it too, there was a couple weeks ago, I didn't come out with anything. I think I was just kind of, I didn't even have anything to trade it, you know, 2 weeks ago when I went into the shop, but he was showing me some 45s that were, you know, unplayable for the most part, and he didn't feel like marking them up, so he actually just gave me the single once he showed it to me, and I said, I'll take this, man, off your hands. This is Galaxy's 4. It's like one of their first singles, Till Then You'll Cry, and then the flip side, Let Me Hear You Say Yeah. It's kind of a garage pop oriented, you know, very harmonic, you know, kind of very Beatles-esque, not Beatles-esque, but beat inspired. Garage pop, lots of harmonies going on, some organ. I think this came out in like 65, so it's early garage, but it's pretty good. Both sides are winners for sure. It's on Veep. So, as you guys know, earlier I picked up one of their most infamous singles, Don't Lose Your Mind, which got a great deal on that too on eBay. So it is a little rough looking, but it plays through, and I don't mind, you know, touching it with my fingers. I mean, it's already kind of rough as it is, but it plays, man. It plays through the surface noise, but it overpowers the music. So very happy to scoop that one up itself. So I think that about wraps it up. So I do have like some online stuff to share, but I'm going to leave that for another portion for another day. Probably next week at least. Get the holiday out of the way. And I'm kind of glad I picked up Madcap Laughs today as well, because he said he would give me a discount on Black Friday, but he just went ahead and gave me the 15% discount on used vinyl today. So really appreciate that, and it just helps me acquire some of them hot items, you know. Anything helps. So yeah, it's all about purging the stuff that you don't listen to, and you know, just admire the pieces of art that you really, you know, pursue to get down the road. So Madcap Laughs, I had the CD forever. I think I still have the CD somewhere, but it's probably rough looking nowadays. It's probably back at my parents' house or something, but yeah, I kind of wore that CD out, and I haven't even spun it yet, so it will definitely be a fun listen tonight. So anyways, won't keep you guys any much longer, so Let me know what you guys think of these pickups. Have a safe holiday. I will be heading back to my hometown this Wednesday. Have quite a good stretch off, and yeah, about wraps it up. So thanks again, and we shall see you soon.